नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीर्वुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So yesterday we discussed till the 28th verse. So you see that in this particular chapter, how the Mother Earth is providing the necessities of different types of living entities. Ye yatamam prapadyante, this principle is also followed by Mother Earth. Different types of living entities, according to the extent of the conditioning by the three modes, different living entities consider different things as the food. And the Mother Earth is providing the food for those living entities. For example, even within the human beings, for a person who is say born and brought up in a particular family in the West or in India sometime, so they may be eating meat right from the childhood. And Prabhupada was with Gopal Agarwal. The liquefied meat was being fed to the child right from the childhood. So if a child which had been eating liquefied meat right from the childhood as a baby, when you speak to that person how meat eating is bad, that person would think as if that you are saying that breathing is bad, because they have been conditioned to think something as a food, and the extent of that conditioning of the modes is so strong, and they may not be able to understand they may not able to understand other conceptions. So we can see that different people are considering different things as the food. And we can also see Krishna's accommodating nature. He appears in different forms to elevate different people from their level to the next level. For example, Lord Shiva gives his association to the Bhutas, and he elevates them from their level to the next level. So another thing we can see, yeah, these are some of the points which we see that one point Iswaran Sadhanath Maharaj mentioned was that the different groups of people, they selected the best among their community as a calf. Swayambhu Manu became the calf, or Brihaspati became the calf, Lord Shiva became the calf, Prahlad Maharaj became the calf. But although the calf was same, but the milk which Mother Earth provided was different from community to community. To the Daityas, Mother Earth gave the liquor, and to certain other people she gave the Vedic hymns as the milk. Some other people, Mother Earth gave the herbs and the seeds as the food grains as the milk. So although all of them assumed the form of a calf, but depending on the mindset, different food was given. So similarly, Maharaj mentioned that. So what is important is the mentality and not the bodily symptoms or the species. So all these different people, they became the calf. In one sense, they assumed the same species as the calf. Prahlad, Lord Shiva, Brihaspati, etc. But they represent different mentality. They assumed the form of a calf on behalf of the certain people having different mentalities. The milk which Mother Earth gave to the each calf was different. So although the external bodily species was the calf, but because the mindset was different, therefore the different milk in the form of the liquor or the grains or the Vedic hymns or different things were given. So similarly, Maharaj mentioned that when we talk about the Brahman Diksha, it should be given based on the mindset of the people. Varnashram system, whether it is Brahman Diksha, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, it is based on the mindset of the person and not simply based on the birth in a particular family. So this is another point we can see in this. So 29th verse. So the last part of the chapter describes that how Prithu Maharaj leveled the surface of the earth. Churnayan Swadanush Kotya Girikutani Rajarat Bhumandalam Idam Vainya Prayas Chakre Samam Vibhuhu. Somebody can read the translation.
After this, the king of all kings, Maharaj Prithu, leveled all rough places on the surface of the globe by breaking up the hills with the strength of his bow. By his grace, the surface of the globe almost became flat.
So Prithu Maharaj made the surface of the earth suitable for agriculture. Generally, the mountains are made flat by striking the thunderbolts. That is the business of the Indra. But Prithu Maharaj, as an incarnation of the Lord, did not wait for Indra to break up the hills and mountains. So you cannot grow many things on the hills actually, especially for growing the food grains. Of course, there is one type of farming called as I think where people grow even on the slopes of the hills. But generally for the say grains and different other things, you need a surface you need a level surface. So you should. So Prithu Maharaj, he did not wait for Indra to break up the hills and mountains, but rather by his own power, he actually made the surface of the earth flat, and then so it will be suitable for agriculture. So Prithu Maharaj, he was as good as a father for the citizens, and he was visibly engaged in giving them proper subsistence. So visibly engaged, of course, even now there may be some leaders who may be visibly engaged, but many times they are visibly engaged just for the sake of publicity. But Prithu Maharaj was visibly engaged not for the sake of getting some name and fame, but he was actually interested in the welfare of the people. There is one purport in the 22nd chapter towards the end where Prabhupada mentions this point. Prithu Maharaj would perform the different social welfare activities of the citizens with the actual concern for them and not simply for the sake of name and fame. And then he not only provided proper subsistence, but he also provided proper employment for the subsistence. So oftentimes we find different political parties, they only keep giving some freebies. There's an analysis which talked about one of the reason for the economic crisis in Sri Lanka, that article talked about how that the present government in Sri Lanka, they gave so much of freebies. They promised so much of freebies, and they gave so much of freebies so that they can get elected. And by that, the entire treasury was emptied. And that was also one of the main reasons for the economic crisis. So you giving freebies, by that you simply make the people lazy. You have to help the people to stand on their own leg. So Prithu Maharaj gave proper employment for the subsistence. And after leveling the surface of the globe, he also marked different residential quarters. Residential quarters for different people. Even Prabhupada's vision for Mayapur city, he had in his vision, he has mentioned how there should be different residential quarters based on the different varnas. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. In any traditional village, even now, like in a traditional village, there would be a place called as Agraharam. It will be close to the temple where the Brahmanas would reside. There will be a place for the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. It is not simply just for the sake of some discrimination or discriminating based on this person is superior, this person is inferior. So there's different kinds of arrangements were required for the sake of the growth of those people. When everyone is actually staying mixed, then people also get confused when they grow up. There was one devotee son. He is the son of a businessman, Gujarati Patel family. But at a certain point, he told his father that I want to join army. So I'm not, but actually he was not meant for that. His physique is not meant for that. But why he got such a thought was that because he was interacting with the different people or some people, and then somehow he developed that desire. So it is not that joining army or not joining army. It is about what is natural for a person's psychophysical nature. Many times, when we actually grow up with in a particular environment where we mix with different kinds of people, and then certain notion is imposed on us. Like suppose a person is supposed to become a doctor, but he is growing up, all his friends are becoming engineers, then that idea is actually registered in his mind, and he is not able to think what is natural for him. Then he starts thinking of those imposed conceptions. So therefore, growing up in a particular environment, of course, we may intermingle and interact with others, but growing up in a particular environment where the Brahmana stay, Kshatriya stay, Vaishya stay, this one, that helps people even in their growth. So I was just coming from Nasik. The devotee was saying that even Nasik, there would be places where different varnas would stay. Any traditional city, it would be there. So, so Prithu Maharaj earmarked the different places for residential quarters in as much as they were desirable. And then, in this way, he produced villages, towns, cities, forts of various types, cowherd villages, cowsheds, military installations, mines, and agricultural mountain villages. So essentially, Prithu Maharaj like made different places for different things. So different places for different things, cowsheds, mountains, trees, etc. So Prak Prutor Iha Naivaisha Pura Gramadi Kalpana Yata Sukam Vasantisma Tatra Tatra Kutobaya. In the translation, last verse.
Before the reign of King Prithu, There was no planned arrangement for different cities, villages, pasturing grounds, etc. Everything was scattered, and everyone constructed his residential quarters according to his own conveniences. However, since King Prithu plans were made for towns and villages.
So before the Prithu Maharaj, this one, there was no such planning. Was the Prithu Maharaj planned and he allocated proper places for different people. So we can see Prabhupada says that therefore the city planning is not a modern innovation but was existing in the bygone ages. Even in Dwaraka's description, we find there is a planning in the city of Dwaraka. So this way we come to the end of the 18th chapter. We start the 19th chapter. So anybody has any questions before we go to the 19th chapter? Okay, let us start the 19th chapter. So Maitreya Rishi says, so in the 19th chapter, Maitreya Rishi answers the another question of Vidura about Prithu Maharaj's Ashwamedha sacrifices. So there was a place called as Brahmavarta, where the Saraswati river turns the east side. There Prithu Maharaj prepared to perform 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices. So this Brahmavarta was controlled by Swayambhu Manu. Tad abhipretya Bhagavan karmati shayam atmanah shatak kratur na mamrushe prutor yajna mahotsavam. Great translation.
When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prithu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prithu.
So here we see that abhipretya Bhagavan karma atishayam atmanah. So Prithu Maharaj, thinking that Prithu Maharaj would excel him, Indra could not tolerate the great sacrifice of Prithu. So Prabhupada writes a very beautiful purport about envy. The material world, everybody is actually envious of others. And sometimes this envy is also found in the King of Heaven. So Indra was actually especially proud of his position as the one who has performed 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. So he could not tolerate that Prithu is also trying to equal his record. So there is a feeling of insecurity. So that insecurity is there. That means a person identifies oneself with a particular designation. So he was envious due to the fear that those who performed great sacrifices for the execution of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. Since no one in the material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called as Matsara or envious. In other words, one who is not free from envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. So in Krishna consciousness, if someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks that how fortunate that the other person is to be advancing in bhakti. So when we talk about the different processes, the path of karma yoga requires tenacious adherence to the Vedic injunctions. And the path of jnana yoga requires full renunciation from material attachments and sense pleasures. And the path of bhakti primarily requires one thing, that is freedom from envy as the qualification. These are some of the primary qualifications of the different paths. So Bhagavatam mentions right in the very beginning, Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is focused on prema towards Krishna. And in order to attain prema, one has to be absolutely free from envy to embark on the path of bhakti. Just like water turns to steam at the 100 degrees centigrade, not even 1 degree less. Similarly, prema manifests in the heart when one is completely free from envy. There cannot be even a trace of envy left in our hearts, not even a trace. Then only the prema can manifest. So envy is actually marked by rivalry, whereas prema is marked by cooperation. So on the path of bhakti, we cooperate with other devotees who are instrumental in bringing prosperity to fulfill the desires of Krishna. So envy is absent in the world of bhakti, but it is all pervading in the material world. So the reason is that in the material world, resources are limited, but the demand is more. So because of that, people are forced to compete with each other. But bhakti gives happiness by seeing the prosperity of others. But envy is the opposite. And there are some psychologists, they talk about two types of envy. One is malicious and another is a benign envy. So malicious envy is completely detrimental. And malicious envy makes a person desire the failure and misfortune of others. So benign envy can act as a positive inspiration and motivation. So benign envy in a less pure form, in an impure form, one will have the motivation to merely surpass the object of envy. But when the benign envy in a pure form, the motivation, when you see somebody excelling, you would take inspiration from that person and you would simply want to, you will simply desire self-improvement. Using that object of envy merely as a measure of success and not being fundamentally opposed to any further success or progress that object may attain. You simply take inspiration from that person and then you actually, you only desire self-improvement. So the epitome of the freedom from envy is exhibited by the gopis. So gopis, not only they love Krishna, but they don't envy each other. Because this is something extremely rare, because the envy is most common and intense, especially in the romantic affairs. For example, in Sanskrit, the word for enemy, the more you consider as enemy, you are envious of that person. So the word for enemy in Sanskrit is sapatna. And the word sapatna comes from the root word, comes from the word sapatni. Sapatni means a co-wife. Usually a woman considers the co-wife to be the enemy. So sapatna means enemy. So typically when two girls love one boy, they wind up, they would end up hating each other and trying to defeat each other. In the process, they may even harm the boy. But in the case of the gopis, the one gopi becomes happy to see another gopi pleasing Krishna, especially if that gopi can do so differently or better than she. And this may appear extremely over idealistic in this world, but that is how exactly it is in Vrindavan. When the Krishna disappeared from the Rasa dance, gopis went in search of Krishna. And when they discovered that Krishna, Radharani had taken Krishna, they felt very happy and they praised Radharani. And how does the envy manifest in a practical way? Envy manifests in a practical way in the form of the slander. The slander results from envy because envy can be relieved only by either surpassing the object of envy or pulling the object of envy down. But many times surpassing the object of envy can be more difficult, far more difficult. So therefore, but the second one, pulling down the object of envy, can be easy. Therefore, envy results most of the time in slander. And for doing slandering, all you have to do is simply keep talking about that person, blaspheming that person. So here, Indra is actually becoming envious of Indra, Prithu Maharaj. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the process of Sankirtan, generally we see Sankirtan as merely the act of singing. But if we look carefully, we will see that Sankirtan is founded on cooperation and non-envy. So when devotees cooperate with each other in the service of Krishna, so that is the real music, more than the music of Mridanga, etc. So there is harmony, peace and happiness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propagated that, and he wanted that from his followers. And that is the internal and external meaning of his appearance. So going ahead, third verse. Yatra yajnapatis sakshat bhagavan haririshwarah anvabhuyata sarvatma sarvaloka guru prabhu.
Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is present in everyone's heart as the Super Soul, and he is the proprietor of all planets and the enjoyer of all the results of all sacrifices. He was personally present at the sacrifices made by King Prithu.
So verse number 3 to 9, the 7 verses show how Prithu Maharaj surpassed Indra in the execution of the sacrifices, in the execution of the Karmakanda sacrifices. So first point mentioned is that the Supreme Lord Vishnu would personally appear the sacrifice performed by Prithu Maharaj. Prabhupada elaborates on the different word. Hari. Hari means the Lord is so kind that he takes away the miserable conditions from his devotees. Therefore, he is called Hari. And he is called as Ishvara because he can do whatever he likes, or he is the supreme controller. Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. He can immediately make the devotee immune from all the sins. And he is called Sarvatma, that means he is present in everyone's heart, the super soul. And Sarva Loka Guru, the supreme teacher of everyone. Nobody can give better instructions to human society than Krishna. So that Lord Vishnu, accompanied by Brahma and Shiva as well as the other Devatas and their followers, was praised by Gandharvas, Apsaras and Sages in the sacrificial arena of Prithu Maharaj. And Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Daityas, Danavas, Yakshas, Sunanda and Nanda, the Lord's chief associates, Kapila, Narada, Dattatreya, masters, the Kumaras, the different masters of the yogic practice, all of these people, they also followed Lord Vishnu to take part in the sacrifice performed by Prithu Maharaj. They are described in 6th verse. So, one class Maharaj was mentioning the nature of the attachments in this world is that when a person gets say different objects in his life, can be a beautiful car or a house or a husband or a wife. So then when a person is attached to that, then a person starts thinking, oh, everybody must be wanting it. Because I am enjoying so much, everybody must be wanting it. Then a person becomes fearful and suspicious of everything and everyone. And and because of that fear, other persons may want my own enjoyment. Then because of that fear, one cannot enjoy that peacefully. So therefore, there is no happiness. So even you cannot even have trust in the friends when you are attached to things of the material world. When a person is attached to anything of the material world, he cannot trust even his own friend, because he may think that, oh, my friend may be wanting to enjoy. So therefore, the only people who can have really true and deep friendship with others are the people who are detached. Because the people who are detached, they are actually not suspicious of anyone, but they can actually be well-wishers. But those people who are attached, they can never be true well-wishers or the friend of others, because they will all the time be suspicious of others. Oh, this person may also be wanting my own enjoyment. So therefore, only people who are truly detached, they can be well-wishers of others, because they are actually not suspicious of anyone. So here we see Indra is attached to his position as the Shatakratu. Therefore, he is suspicious of Indra, suspicious of Pratu, that he is wanting to occupy my position, or he wants to overthrow my position. He is suspicious of Pratu. So it is said, Atmavan Manyate Jagat. When a person is having a certain mindset based on material attachment, a person starts seeing others also in the same mindset. So when Krishna started taking the Parijata tree at the request of Satyabhama, and Indra being instigated by Sachi Devi, Indra thought that Sachi Devi told Indra that how can, like, Krishna is taking the Parijata tree, how can you allow that? You go and fight with Krishna. And Indra started thinking that, oh, Krishna is a hen-pecked husband, therefore he is taking the Parijata. But actually, in truth, Indra was the hen-pecked husband, and he started seeing Krishna from his own point of view. So therefore, to the degree we are attached, we can make nice friends with someone. But as soon as we are thinking that, as soon as we start thinking that this person may want what I have, then you start becoming suspicious of that person. So then comes, but that comes, so that is why people don't remain good friends for a long time. So even among the family members, how many people really trust each other? Because everybody has their attachments and everybody is afraid that somebody may want to try to get what I have. So Prithu Maharaj is performing the sacrifices only for the purpose of pleasing Krishna. He is a detached person, but he is doing it for the purpose of pleasing Krishna and for the benefit of the citizens. But Indra was imagining that this person is going to occupy my post. So Indra is willing to stop what is meant for the satisfaction of Krishna, and is trying to stop which is meant for the benefit of the whole world, just to protect his own egoistic position as a Shatakratu. So therefore, when the ego becomes infatuated, we become indifferent for the welfare of others. So just to ensure one's position as the king, one will not mind creating an atmosphere where the whole world will suffer. And that is the nature of the ego, and that is the nature of the envy. Here, Indra is actually trying to create a situation by which the whole world is going to suffer just because of his egoistic identification as the post holder of one having performed 100 sacrifices. So therefore, we become so infatuated in ourselves that we can't even extend ourselves to look into the lives of others and how it will affect. 7th verse. Yatra dharmaduga bhumis sarvakamaduga sati dogdis smabhipsitanarthan yajamanasya bharata.
My dear Vidura, in that great sacrifice, the entire land came to be like the milk producing Kamadhenu, and thus By the performance of yajna, all daily necessities for life were supplied.
So in that sacrifice, the earth yielded all the desirable things. Dharma duga bhumihi. Earth was yielding dharma, and it offered dogdi sma abhipsitan arthan, all the desired objects to Prithu. So we can see that Prabhupada comments on the word Dharma Duga. So Dharma Duga indicates a Kamadhenu. So Kamadhenu is the name of the Surabhi cow. So in the case of the Surabhi cow, one can milk as long as one likes. And the Surabhi cow will deliver as much as the milk one requires. And again, Prabhupada explains about the importance of performing yajna. So because Prithu Maharaj is performing nice yajna, earth was producing all the necessities. And yajna for this age is Sankirtan yajna. And Prabhupada explains if Sankirtan yajna is performed, there will be no difficulty, not even in the industrial enterprises. Therefore, this system should be introduced in all spheres of life, social, political, industrial, commercial, etc. Then everything will run very peacefully and smoothly. Uhu sarvarasan nadya kshiradadyanna gorasan taravo buri varshmana prasuyantamaduchutaha.
Flowing rivers supplied all kinds of tastes, sweet, pungent, sour, etc. And very big trees supplied fruit and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities.
So rivers flowed nicely, rivers supplied everything. The tall trees, they dropped honey and produced fruit. So Prabhupada explains that one should not obstruct the flow of the rivers by constructing dams, etc. And if the rivers are allowed to flood the land will become fertile and will be able to produce all kinds of vegetables. And we see Punyo Gandha Prithivyamcha. All the different types of fragrances come from the earth. So all the rasas and tastes are within the earth. And as soon as the seeds are sown in the ground, and the various trees sprout up. And there are different tastes which come from different seeds. Krishna says, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the original seed of all existence. So, therefore, what we can see here is that the complete arrangement is there. Previously, the citizens were starving because earth has withdrawn all the food grains. But now you can see the prosperity described in these verses. So this shows that the complete arrangement is there for the protection of the necessities of life. The perfect arrangement is there, but the people misuse the arrangement and then they make the world more miserable. Just like for example, I think, like suppose a government puts a first-class road. Government may make the first-class road, but the people who start using the road, they start spoiling the road. They start making the road dirty. I think 1 or 2 years back, there was a news that how the government had introduced a particular sophisticated train. It's a very good facility in one particular route, fully AC and full Wi-Fi and high-speed Wi-Fi, like many facilities were there. So, and then the people were given like different earphones and many other things. But after the first ride of that particular train, it was reported that like so many of the things got stolen from the train. So many of the earphones were not returned, or so many other things were stolen from the train. So government makes proper facilities, But the people who use it, they may actually start stealing it. They may start misusing it. So in these verses, what we can see is that the complete arrangement is given by the Lord to live in the material world. At the same time, certain miseries are also given in the material world so that the people can think of transcending the material world. But although complete arrangement is given, people misuse the material world and they convert the prison house into concentration cell. And also Prabhupada talks about the purpose of the forest. The forests are the purpose of the trees in the forest was to produce honey and varieties of fruit. So forest also has its purpose in supplying honey, fruits and flowers. But all these things are dependent on the performance of yajna, and the best way to perform yajna in this age is the Sankirtan yajna. Sindavo ratna nikaran girayonnam chaturvidam upayanam upajakru sarve lokasa palaka.
King Prathu was presented with various gifts from the general populace and predominating deities of all planets. The oceans and seas were full of valuable jewels and pearls, and the hills were full of chemicals and fertilizers. 4 kinds of edibles were produced profusely.
So the oceans also offered heaps of jewels, mountains offered the 4 kinds of food, and the different planets also, the predominating deities of the planets offered wonderful gifts to Prithu Maharaj. So we can see how the material creation is made in such a way that not only the human beings, but every living entity's needs are supplied by the Lord's creation. And there are 4 types of food: charvya, lehya, chushya, and peya. That which can be chewed, licked up, swallowed, and drunk. So all these things were supplied by the earth. The earth was greeted by the other leaders of the other planets. And the ocean was supplying the valuable jewels. So there are lower class of people, Shudras and lower class of people, they go to the ocean to for actually fishing. So they may collect tons of fish, but one valuable jewel from the ocean is more valuable than the tons of fish. The Shudras would go to fish, but Kshatriyas and Vaishyas would gather pearls from the ocean. Pearls, jewels, and coral from the ocean. So the current time, so many factories for manufacturing fertilizers have been opened. But when the Lord is pleased by the yajnas, the hills automatically produce fertilizing chemicals, and which will help the fields, which will help produce the edibles in the fields. So therefore, everything is dependent on the performance of the sacrifice. Next verse. Iti chadoksha jeshasya prutostu paramodayam asuyan bhagavanindra pratigatamachikarat.
King Prithu was dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Adhokshaja. Because King Prithu performed so many sacrifices, he was superhumanly enhanced by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. King Prithu's opulence, however, could not be tolerated by the King of Heaven, Indra, who tried to impede the progress of his opulence.
So Indra was highly envious of the prosperity, Asuyan, of the prosperity of Prithu. Therefore, Indra obstructed the sacrifice. So Indra and Prithu both are empowered by Vishnu. Both are living entities empowered by Vishnu. But the difference between Indra and Prithu is that Prithu Maharaj never forgot his eternal position as the eternal servant of the Lord. But Indra forgot his position as the eternal servant of the Lord. Therefore, he was envious of Prithu, and therefore, since he was envious of Prithu, that is a sign that he was envious of Vishnu also. So Indra is called here in this verse as Bhagavan. because a living entity can be as exalted and as powerful as Indra. But although Indra possesses great power, because of that he is called as Bhagavan, but Indra is not free of the 4 defects of a human being. And which you will see in the next few verses. So, although Indra was very powerful, therefore he is called as Bhagavan, but he is still envious of the incarnation of God, Prithu Maharaj. So therefore, we can see the defects of material life are so strong that due to that contamination, Indra became envious of Prithu. So, but on the other hand, the opulences of Prithu Maharaj were not dependent on material conditions. He was a devotee of Adokshaja, one who cannot be reached with a material mind and senses. I'll just come in 2 minutes. So, so anyway, this the reason for Indra becoming envious is that Prithu Maharaj was trying to perform the 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices. Maybe Prithu Maharaj did not have the desire to occupy the post of Indra. He was just performing 100 Ashwamedha Yajna for the welfare of the people. But Indra started imagining like that, maybe I will be overthrown or Prithu Maharaj will occupy my position. Therefore, he was envious. So Indra and Prithu both were empowered, but Prithu Maharaj never forgot his position as an eternal servant of Krishna, but Indra forgot his position. We should try to understand how a conditioned soul becomes fallen. The opulence of Prithu Maharaj was not dependent on material conditions because he was a devotee of Adokshaja. So when we talk about the core definition of an asura, asura is somebody who is envious of the devotees. Asura is somebody who is envious of the devotees. That is the core quality of an asura. So unlike the other asuras, Prahlad Maharaj was never envious of the demons, never envious of the devatas. So that means the asuras, the natural quality is that they are envious of the Vishnu, they are envious of Vishnu's devotees. So sometimes a person may be empowered for a particular task, but after a person accomplishes that particular task, one may forget that one may forget that how one is an eternal servant of the Guru and Krishna. So Indra was also empowered to play the role of Indra, but he forgot his position as an eternal servant of the Lord. Therefore, he is envious of Prithu. You can read translation 11th verse.
Guruji, Krishna.
Yes.
Guruji, actually, in this line also, like we see there are some more devotees, like some more personalities who did more than 100 yajnas. Like it's mentioned in the 9th canto about 2 personalities. Like Bharat Maharaj also did 133 horse yajna. Or there's one more personality like Ushana. He also did 100 yajnas, Ashwamedha yajnas. In those cases, Indra we never see him doing this.
Bhagavatam just describes some part of the story. And once a person becomes Indra, he will occupy the post for 1 Manvantara. The post will not be changed. So in those cases, Indra did not become envious. Maybe that time he learned the lesson. And there are Indras in different situations. The Indra which is being described here is the Swayambhu Manvantara. The Indra in some other place, it may be a different personality. So that personality may not be envious. So this Indra was envious.
And also, some speakers they say that this Indra and this Prithu both were actually avatars of the Lord.
They were empowered. Avatars means they were empowered with a particular power.
Actually, Lord himself took that position of Indra because no one was there, like it is mentioned.
No, Jivatma empowered with a particular Shakti. Prithu Maharaj is a Jivatma. Indra is a Jivatma empowered with a particular Shakti. But although sometimes a person is empowered, but one can become proud of one's position, or one may forget who is empowering him, and therefore a person may commit mistakes even after being empowered.
Sorry, and one more question regarding this only. Like generally, that like the leaders are supposed to have good character, but then when we see some demigods like Indra and some other Indra and other demigods, we see exhibiting envy, lust, anger, or insecurity. So then and outside people generally we see outside people they ridicule such devar of devatas and they ridicule Hinduism. So how do we understand this? Like generally, even in a management scenario, it's seen that if someone has shown breach of some character, he's not kept on a post. Now, and here we see the Lord Himself is appointing such people on a very high post of a devata. So how to understand this?
Yeah, decisions are made. It's not that one type of decision is made all the time. Generally, we are used to black and white conception. All the time decision should be made in this way. So Indra, first of all, we have to understand, Indra is a great devotee of the Lord. He is a maybe Karma Mishra Bhakta, but he performs great services. Bhagavatam is a scripture which chooses to focus on the mistakes done by the Devatas. Bhagavatam is speaking from the transcendental point of view, how even the Devatas are also subject to different mistakes and limitations. But if we see the whole life of Indra, the life of one Manvantara, the mistakes which he committed can be counted. So we cannot equate, oh, Indra is also like me. Indra also commits mistakes. But the number of mistakes he committed is a small compared to the amount of service he performed. But the Bhagavatam tells those stories of where Indra committed mistakes, scripture, to show that how powerful is the illusory energy, so that the conditioned souls can be careful of. If even a personality like Indra gets infatuated by lust, greed, anger, so how we should be careful of. That is the purpose of it. But we should definitely have our respect for Indra. So people sometimes they tend to use this, oh, this your gods are like that. No, that is a very naive argument. So this shows actually how our scriptures are so transparent. Sanatana Dharma scriptures are so transparent. So many times some particular leader does something, they try to put that under the carpet, and then when something comes out, they don't try to anything to come out. When somebody raises something, and then like for example Islam and this one, if you try to speak something against the Prophet, and you will be, people will take note of it, and they will be ready to kill you also, because they will consider that you have blasphemed the Prophet, you have blasphemed the Quran. But the Sanatana Dharma scriptures are so transparent, they don't hide the mistakes committed even by Brahma, Shiva, Indra. But they present the mistakes in such a way that we become more cautious of those anarthas. It is not for the purpose of demeaning those personalities, it is for the purpose of understanding how powerful the illusory energy is and how we can learn from the mistakes of the great souls. That is the purpose. Okay. Is it all right? So 11th verse. So when Prithu Maharaj was performing the 100th Ashwamedha Yajna, Indra became envious and with an invisible form he stole the horse. So we can see that he did not want anybody to excel him or even equal his record. So there is he wanted to maintain his unique position as a Shatakratu. One of the material desire is that the desire for distinction, profit, adoration, and distinction. That means I should be the only person who has performed 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. But whereas a genuinely exalted person does not think on himself to be distinct, whereas he thinks himself to be one among the common. Prabhupada was there in the airport. Some announcement was made by a devotee that all the devotees go to this particular place, assemble there. And Prabhupada also started moving in that direction. And the devotee said that, Prabhupada, you don't have to go, you can be here only. I told all the devotees to go there. And Prabhupada said that, am I not a devotee? Am I not a devotee means Prabhupada was identifying himself with the common people, common devotees. He did not consider himself to be distinctly in the position of an acharya. So the conditioned souls, one of the material desire is that the desire for distinction. So Indra wanted the distinct position as the Shatakratu. Therefore he stole the horse. 12th verse. Tamatrir Bhagavan Aikshat Twaramanam Vihayasa Amuktam Iva Pakandam Yodarme Dharma Vibramaha.
When King Indra was taking away the horse, the dress himself to appear as a liberated person. Actually, this dress was a form of cheating, for it falsely created an impression of religion. When Indra went into outer space in this way, the great sage Atri saw him and understood the whole situation.
So Atri saw Indra moving in the sky in the dress of a sannyasi, heretic. And by that, Indra made people think adharma to be dharma. He was actually stealing the horse meant for the sacrifice. He was doing an adharmic activity. Because he was doing that in the dress of a dharmic person, he made the people think adharma to be dharma. Because it was done by a person in the dharmic dress. So here is an example of a dharma dvaji. Somebody who poses oneself to be religious, but actually is very sinful. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Bhaktya Loka, in his commentary on the 6 favorable and unfavorable items of bhakti, when he talks about asat sangat tyaga, avoiding the association of non-devotees, he mentions various categories of non-devotees. And among them, one of the category he mentions is the dharma dvaji. And when he talks about dharma dvaji, he says the association of dharma dvaji is most dangerous. It's most dangerous because people put faith on the dharma dvaji by seeing the externals of that person. But later, when that person does wrong things, their faith gets completely shaken. Or people think that, oh, we can also do anything nonsense in this by this dress. So here Indra is exhibiting the cheating propensity. So we see that even Brahma Vimohan Leela, even Brahmaji tried to cheat Krishna. He was trying to use his limited mind and senses to measure Krishna. So here Indra is also exhibiting one of the defect of a conditioned soul. So that means Indra was not liberated from the clutches of Maya. The saffron dress worn by a sannyasi announces to the world that the person has renounced everything. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnirna chakriya. Yam sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava Nahya sanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati karchan. So Krishna says that there is no difference between a sannyasi, a yogi, and a nishkama karma yogi. Sannyasi and a person who is performing ashtanga yogi and a person who is performing nishkama karma yoga. But all these three people externally they look different. Sannyasi and a yogi, they are externally detached. But Nishkama Karma Yogi is performing all his different responsibilities externally. But Krishna says that all these three people, there is no difference between them. But externally, you see so much of difference. A sannyasi and a yogi, and they have stopped all the responsibilities of Varnashram. But a Nishkama Karma Yogi is performing those responsibilities. So how can we say all three are on the same level? So Krishna says because of the common quality. When you say somebody, oh, this person is like a lion, but you don't see the tail of a lion, you don't see the face of a lion, you don't see the hair of the lion, but still you say this person is a lion. Then that means there is some quality which is present in the lion is also present in him. Therefore, we call him as a lion. And then you will find, oh, this person is courageous like a lion or fearless like a lion. So because of that common quality, we call the person as a lion-like. So similarly, there must be some common quality between the sannyasi, Ashtanga yogi and the Nishkam Karma yogi. Because of that, Krishna says all three are on the same level. So what is that common quality? That common quality is the internal state of detachment. The internal state of detachment is the common quality. Because of that, Krishna says that there is no difference between a sannyasi who is dressed in a saffron cloth and the grahastha who is not dressed in the saffron cloth but who is having a wife and children. When a person is having the internal state of detachment. So Indra took advantage of that people's faith in the sannyasi and he came in the dress of a sannyasi and stole the horse. So the cheating sannyasis and yogis, that means they have existed since a long time. And this cheating was very foolishly introduced by Indra. In some ages, such cheating is very prominent, and in other ages, not so prominent. So therefore, a sannyasi has to be very cautious. When a sannyasi commits a small mistake, that will be seen by the whole world. Sannyasira alpachidra sarvaloke gaya. So for a sannyasi to perform his service, what is most important is his reputation as a sannyasi. If that person loses his reputation, then nobody will want to hear from that sannyasi. And that reputation is lost when people start doubting the character of a sannyasi. So therefore, it is very important for a sannyasi to protect one's reputation. And it is better not to take up sannyas in this age of Kali because the provocations are very strong. So only a very exalted person, advanced in spiritual understanding, should attempt to take up sannyas. One should not adopt this order of sannyas as a means of livelihood for some material purpose. So there are people who take to sannyas, who take to saffron dress for some material purpose that should be avoided. So we see that when a person has taken the dress of a sannyasi and doing something wrong, then what it does is that it breaks the faith of the people on that sannyas dress. Then they may start thinking that, oh, everybody in the saffron dress, oh, they are also trying to cheat others. It actually breaks the faith of the people because externally they see this person in the dress of a sannyasi, he is doing so much of sadhana. And suddenly when somebody sees, oh, this person is involved in this scandal or something, and then it actually breaks the faith of the people in that particular process which the person was practicing. Like for example, so you are standing in a line to take bath, the bathroom, and behind you there are some people who are standing to take bath, and then you are just you are the first in the line, and somebody is already in the bathroom, and that person is taking bath for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you are hearing all the sound, the person taking the mug and pouring water, and that he's taking bath such a long time. You're hearing all the sound, and some smell is also coming. And then after 20 minutes, the person comes out of the bathroom. And to your surprise, the person who came out of the bathroom, he does not appear to have taken bath. He seems to be as like a person who is behind you in the line. That means like unclean. Then like when you see the people who are standing behind you in the line, they are unclean. But the person who came out of the bathroom after half an hour of taking bath, but he seems to be in the same state as if before he went to the before he entered the bathroom. Then you will start thinking, what did he do inside the bathroom? I was hearing the sound, but after taking bath, if he's not cleaned, then what did he do? Is that then you will start thinking maybe the water which is coming in the tap is not proper water. By that you can't take bath. Or maybe this person was just making a show of sound. You will be completely puzzled. Oh, this person by taking bath in the water, your faith in the taking bath will be shaken. Maybe the water which comes in that tap is not a good water. Therefore, this person, although after pouring so much of water, he's not changed only. You lose faith in that process of taking bath. So sometimes when we find people who are doing kirtan, who are following some devotional process, 5 hours or 10 hours doing kirtan, they are focused on kirtan, are following the process of bhakti. When you follow the process of bhakti, hearing and chanting, the rajoguna and tamoguna should get destroyed. Tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobha dayasche. But the person who is following so much of bhakti, but he gets easily agitated by a small provocation, that means rajoguna is still prominent. And if that person does not observe proper cleanliness, that means tamoguna is prominent. Tamoguna people are not clean. But process of bhakti is supposed to remove the rajoguna and tamoguna. You don't see the symptoms of rajoguna being gone because a person becomes agitated every now and then, and he's having very unclean habits. Then you wonder that, hey, what kind of process? This only is told namesake that this process actually removes rajoguna and tamoguna, but it actually does not do so. You will start doubting the process only. So therefore, that when a person who is in the dress of a sannyasi, or a person who is in a particular position, when a person commits a mistake, like in this case stealing the horse, then that actually breaks the faith of the common people. So His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj mentioned, to increase faith is to come closer to Krishna. And that is the duty of every devotee in the association of other devotees. What is the duty of, what is the best service you can render to another devotee? To act, to speak, and to live in such a way in order to help increase the other person's faith, as well as our own faith. and that is the best service you can render to others. But if we act recklessly and disturb other person's faith, and that is the greatest disservice you can render to the another person. So there is no greater service than to increase other person's faith by your conduct, and there is no greater disservice we can do to other person than to disturb another person's faith. So here Indra is actually as a dharma dwaji, is in the dress of a sannyasi, stealing the horses. So Prabhupada says that a sannyasi has to be very careful. Even a small black mark, character of a sannyasi, will be magnified by the public. So therefore, like for example, somebody is in a particular position, especially we see somebody is in saffron. So people usually respect as if the person is in this level. Suppose a person is in this level, but common people may respect as if the person is in this level. And suppose when that person commits some mistake and comes from this level to this level, and that mistake will be magnified so much as if that person has fallen to a very low level. There's a general tendency that sannyasira alpachidra sarva lokekaya. Therefore, unless one is very serious and sincere, one should not take up the order of a sannyas. And it is better not to take up sannyas in this age of Kali, because provocations are very strong in this age. Only a very exalted person, advanced in spiritual understanding, should attempt to take up sannyas. And one should not adopt this order as a means of livelihood or for some material purpose. Because people many times take up that sannyas dress for some material purpose. So even a few days back, I was interacting with some devotee. He said many people come to Vrindavan, even they join even ISKCON with the sole aim so that they can go to abroad. They join Krishna Balaram temple as a brahmachari with the sole aim so that they can get a visa abroad, they can go abroad. With that purpose they come. Next verse. 13th verse. Atrina chodito hantum prutuputro maharatah anvadavata sankruddhas tishtatishtheti chabravit.
When the son of King Prithu was informed by Atri of King Indra's trick, he immediately became very angry and followed Indra to kill him, calling, "Wait, wait."
Tishta tishta iti abravit. So Prithu Maharaj's son followed Indra. He told Indra to wait, wait. So a real Kshatriya does not kill the enemy from behind, because Indra was fleeing. So Prithu Maharaj's son did not attack him. He told him just wait, wait. Nor does a real Kshatriya turn his back on the battlefield. So here we see, although Indra was very exalted, being the king of heaven, he became degraded due to his stealing the horse intended for the sacrifice. Therefore, he fled without observing the Kshatriya principles. And therefore, Prithu Maharaj's son was challenging. Tam tadrishakritim vikshya mene dharmam sharirinam jatilam basmana channam tasmai banam na munchati.
King Indra was fraudulently dressed as a sannyasi, having knotted his hair on his head and smeared ashes all over his body. Upon seeing such dress, the son of King Prithu considered Indra a religious man and pious sannyasi. Therefore, he did not release his arrows.
So Prithu Maharaj's son gave the benefit of doubt to Indra, seeing the dress of Indra, seeing the person dressed as a sannyasi. he thought that he must be a religious person. Therefore, he did not shoot him. In fact, because for this behavior exhibited by Sanna Prithu Maharaj, later Indra expressed his pleasure towards him. Prabhupada quotes in another purport, Apiche Suduracharo Bhajate Ma Mananyaba Sadureva Samantavya Samyak Yavasito. He quotes this verse in connection to the same episode in another purport in 4th canto. Prabhupada says that Vijitashva, despite seeing the abominable act exhibited by Indra of stealing the horse, but still he did not attack him because he was in the dress of a sannyasi. Sadhureva Samantavya. And therefore Indra later became pleased with him. Therefore he gave him the mystic siddhi called as Antardana, disappearing at one's own will. And therefore the Sanna Prithu Maharaj also became known as Antardana. But Atri again ordered the Sanna Prithu to kill him, although he refrained from doing so. He said that Jahi Yajna Hanam Tata Mahendram Vibudadamam. So kill the destroyer of the sacrifice, the Indra. He has become the Vibuda Adamam. He has become the lowest of the Devatas. So we see the difference between spiritual and a material civilization. In a material civilization, people give respect for the wealth. In a spiritual civilization, people give respect for renunciation. The spiritual civilization, people honor, in the spiritual society, the greatest wealth is renunciation, knowledge, and devotion. These three are honored. But in material society, those forms that will give us sense gratification, that is wealth or beauty, they are honored. So the Sanna Prithu Maharaj, because he was trained in a spiritual culture, he was trained to give respect to a person in the dress of a sannyasi. He was trained to give respect to, he would give respect to people who are renounced. So although Indra was only in the dress of a sannyasi, but still he showed respect to that particular dress. Therefore, he did not kill, he did not attack Indra. And here we see, if somebody is in the particular role, if somebody is in the dress of a sadhu, one has to be genuinely renounced and one has to be completely compassionate to give one's life for the benefit of others. And one has to be learned in the Shastra. So that is in one sense the dress of a sadhu. One should be learned in the Shastra. One should be, one should show, exhibit compassion. One should be willing to live for the benefit of others. And one has to be genuinely renounced. And that is the responsibility of a sadhu. And here Vijitashva, although Indra was stealing the horse, but still he gave the benefit of doubt to this person, the dress of a sannyas. So when you trust a person, and the trust begets a trust. Because Prithu Maharaj's son put trust in Indra, and later Indra became pleased with the son of Prithu Maharaj, and therefore he trusted him. And whenever you trust somebody, then you give that person certain power and position. You only give power and position to that person whom you have trust. So because the son of Prithu Maharaj trusted Indra, Indra trusted him and gave him the power of power of the mystic siddhi, by which a person can disappear at one's own will. Evam Vaidha. So we'll just take a short break, just 5 minutes exactly, then we'll continue from 16th verse. immediately. And so then Prithu Maharaj's son brought back the horse. And then the great sages became happy with the action of son of Prithu Maharaj, and they gave him the name Vijitashva. Vijitashva means one who conquered the horse. Vijita Ashwa, one who had won the horse. And Indra later gave him the name Antardana. Antardana also means the particular mystic siddhi by which a person can disappear at one's own will. Indra later, he gave him that particular mystic siddhi. Vijitashva also got the name Antardana. So then, when Vijitashva brought back the horse, then again the sacrifice began. And then again Indra came. And this time Indra created an intense darkness. And again he assumed the dress of another sannyasi and stole the horse along with its golden robe from the sacrificial post. So again Atri Rishi saw that Indra was actually stealing the horse and going. And Prithu Maharaj's son, again he went after Indra, but he did not kill him because he was carrying the staff of a sannyasi with a skull on the top.
Prabhuji, add on question.
Can you just run through the chapter? Because we have a half an hour left actually.
Yes, Prabhuji, no problem. Yes,
then I'll take a question definitely at the end. Then,
yes, Prabhuji.
Otherwise, this chapter will get delayed, and we'll take up definitely. So when Prithu Maharaj's son did not kill him because he was having the dress of a sannyasi, the Atri Rishi ordered him to shoot arrows at him. Again, Indra gave up the horse, and then he gave up the disguise, and Indra became invisible. So it's like you can see this was going on repeatedly again and again. Like suppose you are downloading the file, and it starts from, suppose if the file is say 500 MB. So you start 1%, 2%, 3%. Then after 30 minutes, it comes to 98%. And then when it was about to become 100 and it stops downloading, it says the download failed. And you become worried, like so long, it came to 99 and then it says download failed. And again you start downloading. Again it starts increasing from 1, 2, 3. And then suddenly it comes to 90, suddenly it comes to 99, again it says download failed. When it happens repeatedly, one becomes frustrated. Here also, the sacrifice starts when the sacrifice is about to get completed and the sacrifice is going on. Indra comes and steals the horse at the crucial point, and then somehow with great difficulty they bring back the horse. Again, the sacrifice starts, because sacrifice should involve, you cannot commit any mistake. There cannot be any gap in between. We'll have to start the sacrifice again actually, and then again they bring back the horse, and when it keeps happening again and again, one will get frustrated. So here, Prithu Maharaj's son returned to the sacrifice of his father, and 22nd verse says that Veeras Chashvam Upadaya Pitru Yagyam Atavrajat Tad Avadyam Hare Rupam Jagruhur Jnana Durbala. Can read the translation. 22nd.
Then the great hero Vijitashva, the son of King Prithu, again took the horse and returned to his father's sacrificial arena. Since that time, certain men with a poor fund of knowledge had adopted the dress of a false sannyasi. It was King Indra who introduced this.
So because this was happening again and again, there were people who were taking inspiration from this incident, and they felt that because Indra was not killed by the Prithu's son, since he was in the dress of a sannyasi, they thought that, oh, we can also do anything by taking the dress of a sannyasi. We will not be killed, we will not be punished. And in this way, they took inspiration and they started their own sampradaya, which propagated ideas to spoil the sacrifice. And they desired to define the goal as powers like stealing others' wealth and disappearing as their goal. So they would, in this way, people started doing wrong activities with the dress of a sannyasi, getting the confidence that we would not be punished by seeing the action of Vijitashva not punishing Indra. So Prabhupada says that there are a type of pseudo sannyas was introduced by Indra when he tried to hide himself from the attack of Vijitashva. So now there are many types of sannyasis. Some of them go naked, some of them carry a skull, and they are called as kapalika. So all these were introduced under some meaningless circumstances. So we can see that many apasampradayas were introduced because of this particular incident. And those who have poor fund of knowledge accept these false sannyasis and their pretenses, although they are not bona fide guides to spiritual advancement. And many of these so-called sannyasis, they may indulge in the sinful activities. Sometimes they may even justify. They may say that, oh, we are living in a very cold climate, so therefore it is all right. We can eat meat. Krishna says in the Uddhav Gita, the main duty of a sannyasi is ahimsa. That is, he should not commit violence to anybody. Should be non-violent. But there are sannyasis. They say that, oh, we are living in the cold climate, therefore we can drink liquor or we can eat meat. And some sannyasis, like, they go in coat suit. So these sannyasis introduce all these sinful activities in the name of serving the poor. And consequently, poor animals are cut to pieces and they go into the bellies of these sannyasis. So such sannyasis are called as pakandas. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivatai Samatve Naiva Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhave Dhruvam. So one who, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one purport, Prabhupada explains different varieties of pakanda. So for the sake of time, I am not going into that, but there is a purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Different types of pakandas, different definitions of a pashanda are mentioned. So pashandi is one who considers the devatas to be on the same level as Vishnu. Pashandi is one who considers the body as the soul. Pashandi is somebody who simply is interested in improving the material welfare or material comfort. Like that, many definitions are given. So those who take advantage of the Sankirtan movement will be able to save themselves from the influence of the Pashandis. So Pakanda, Pashandi is somebody is a cheater, just like Prabhupada says that one who takes Sankirtan movement will be able to save himself from the Pashandis. So in the Krishna Leela, Putana represents a Pashandi, a false guru. So everyone misunderstood Putana to be a great lady, a great mother, including Yashoda and Rohini. But the only person who knew Putana for who she was is Krishna. And Krishna exposed Putana to the whole world, how she is a demon. So the same Krishna has appeared in the form of the Sankirtan, the holy name, the Srimad Bhagavatam. So even in an institution, there can be Pashandis, because wherever there is money and power involved, sometimes there are people who may, for the sake of the money and power, they may misguide people or they may do some wrong practices. So how to recognize such people? So how can the people be protected from such Pashandis? So just like Krishna revealed Putana to the Vrajavasis, who she is. Similarly, when a person takes shelter of the Sankirtan, which is nothing but Krishna, one will be saved from the influence of the Pashandis. So at this time, whatever different forms Indra assumed as a mendicant because of his desire to seize the horse were all symbols of atheistic philosophy. Yani Rupani Jagrihe. So all those sannyasis dresses which Indra adopted, they were all symbols of the different atheistic philosophy. They were all symbols of different types of pashandis. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur says pasandi refers to one who considers the living entity to be equal to the Supreme Lord. Or pashandi is one who does not believe in the spirit soul. There is no Atma only. Or they don't distinguish between the matter and spirit. And even the worshippers of impersonalists like Dattatreya, they are also pashandis. And those who are overly absorbed in the body and the bodily necessities, they are also called pashandis. Or those who equate the devatas with Vishnu, they are called pashandis. And yeah, those who don't accept the Vedic conclusions, they are also pashandis. In this way, various definitions are given for pashandi. So, so sannyas, when a person accepts a sannyas, it should be from a bona fide parampara. It should not be from a atheistic line. So currently, there are many so-called sannyasis who have no understanding of God consciousness. Such sannyasa was introduced by Indra because of the jealousy of Prithu. And what he introduced is again appearing in the age of Kali. So you can just imagine, just because of his attachment to his position as the Shatakratu, he introduced so much of apasampradayas, causing misfortune to the whole world. So no one can introduce any new system into the Vedic way of life. If one does so out of malice, he is to be known as a Pashandi. Pashandi is somebody who introduces a new system apart from the Vedic system into the society. So these Pashandis, sometimes they coin the terms like Daridra Narayan or Swami Narayan. And they say that Manav Seva is Madhav Seva, serving the poor is equal to serving the Narayan. Although even Brahma and Shiva cannot be equal to Narayan, but they say that a poor person in the street is the same as Narayan. So this kind of Daridra Narayan concept is also the work of a Pashandi. 24-25. Evam Indre Haratyashvam Vainyayajnajjigamsaya Tadgrihita Visrishteshu Pakandeshu Matirnrinam Dharmayatyupadharmeshu Nagnaraktapatadishu Prayena Sajjate Brantya Peshaleshu Chavagmishu. Translation.
In this way, King Indra, in order to steal the horse from King Prithu's sacrifice, adopted several orders of sannyas. Some sannyasis go naked and sometimes they wear red garments and pass under the name of Kapalika. These are simply symbolic representations of their sinful activities. These so-called sannyasis are very much appreciated by sinful men because they are all godless atheists and very expert in putting forward arguments and reasons to support their case. We must know, however, that they are only passing as adherents of religion and are not so in fact. Unfortunately, bewildered persons accept them as religious, and being attracted to them, they spoil their life.
So here, like some of the sannyasis introduced by Indra, some sannyasis are naked people. Naked persons refer to the Jains. And some sannyasis wear red cloth, that refers to the Buddhists. And some sannyasis refer to the followers of Shiva who carry a skull in their hand. So these sannyasis, whatever they are following, that is called as Upadharma. Upadharma means something which resembles Dharma but not Dharma. And Peshaleshu Vagmishu, they speak very charming words, skillful at logic, by which people get attracted, but actually they are atheistic. The seventh canto, Narada Muni talks about the different types of adharma. Dharma bado vidharmasyat paradharmonya choditaha upadharmastu pakando dambo va shabda bikshalaha. There are different types of adharma: vidharma, paradharma, upadharma, chaladharma, and chaya dharma. Vidharma, paradharma, upadharma, and chaladharma. These are the different types of adharmas. So one of the type of adharma is called as upadharma. Upadharma means something which resembles dharma but which is not dharma. So this refers to the pretenders who actually reject the Vedas but who dress up with matted locks and ashes and announce themselves to be upholders of dharma. So announce themselves to be upholders of dharma, but actually they have rejected the Vedas. So therefore, these people are very dangerous. They are the upadharmas. So therefore, one should not judge a person simply by one's external clothes. So we have to judge the person by the quality of their heart. So Prabhupada said that being Hare Krishna means a shaved head and wearing dhoti and kurta. But being Krishna conscious means truly it is a heart of honesty, sincerity, humility, and devotion to Krishna, and the will to always worship the Lord by chanting the holy names. It is easy to sometimes change the dress, put the tilak, kantimala, but to actually imbibe the mood is a more difficult thing. So people of Kali Yuga, prayena alpayusha sabya kalau asmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrata. The people of Kali Yuga, one of the symptoms is that they are unfortunate because they get carried away by many of these false dharma dvajis. So therefore, they always remain mentally disturbed. When you accept the Pashandi or a dharma dvaji as the guru, one remains mentally disturbed. And the Shastras practically prohibit the adoption of sannyas in Kali Yuga because less intelligent men may adopt the sannyas order for cheating purposes. Yeah. So there are two types of dharma dvajis, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. One is the hypocrites. Like first category is the hypocrite guru and their followers. One is the hypocrite guru, and second is the followers of such a guru. These are the two types of dharma dvajis. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that it is better to associate with the sense enjoyers in this world than to associate with the dharma dvajis, either in the form of the hypocrite gurus or the followers of the hypocrite gurus. So not only those who cheat by taking the role of a guru, they are called dharma dvaji, but even the followers of them, they are also called a dharma dvaji. Because people want a cheap spirituality, there are cheaters in this world. Because there are people who want to be cheated, there are cheaters in this world. So both are considered to be the dharma dvajis. So if one gives up the association of the crooked hypocrites, then a person can honestly engage in bhakti. And honest worship is the only way to attain Krishna's mercy. So the dharma dvaji attitude is that one is not genuinely sincere in advancing spiritual life. A person only wants to make a show of religion. Yeah. So the next verse says that, so Prithu Maharaj, he became very angry when Indra was coming again and again, stealing the horse, and Prithu Maharaj's son, he was bringing back the horse. Finally, Prithu Maharaj became greatly angry at Indra, and he took up his bow and he aimed at Indra. So we see one of the duty of a king is not to tolerate the introduction of any religious systems. So Prithu Maharaj, as a king's duty, he wanted to cut down all kinds of all the Dharmadvaji Sampradayas. So therefore he went to attack Indra. So therefore the heads of the state should not simply promote secularism, but they should cut down all the irreligious systems. So we can see that such a mentality is a way of compromising religious and religious systems. Because of that, the citizens are generally becoming uninterested in spiritual advancement. When there are so many people who are cheating in the name of religion, then large mass of people, they lose in the entire system only. Because people tend to generalize, okay, all religion is bad. Then the situation becomes very hellish. When the result of government not punishing the irreligious systems is that the situation deteriorates to such an extent that the society becomes hellish. So when the priest saw that Prithu Maharaj was angry and prepared to kill Indra, so they requested him, oh, you do not kill him, because in a sacrifice, only the animal which is meant for sacrifice can be killed. That is the direction of the Shastra. So it's not proper that you are about to kill Indra, who is actually not a sacrificial animal, rather he is the person who is being worshipped in the sacrifice. And then they said that please understand that the Indra's powers are already reduced because of his attempt to impede your sacrifice. So we will chant the Vedic mantras and we will make him come here, and then we will kill him by chanting the Vedic mantras. So Prabhupada again explains that in Kali Yuga, there are no qualified Brahmanas. So therefore, no attempt should be made to perform such big, elaborate sacrifices. In this age, the only sacrifice recommended is the Sankirtan movement. Some 70 years back, there was a rich person, he came to Nasik and he challenged, he was looking for, I want some Brahmana who can perform the Ashwamedha Yajna. And no Brahmana was ready to come to perform the Ashwamedha Yajna. Just 70, 80 years back, I think 1920 or 1930, somewhere at that time. So then there was one Brahmana came in the Madhva line. He performed the Ashwamedha Yajna for this rich person. So this is something like very rare. In the current time, though, this is impossible. So Prabhupada says in this age, the Sankirtan Yajna is recommended. So Prithu's duty was to kill the people who introduced religious systems. But if Prithu had killed Indra, he would break the principle that only animal can be killed in the sacrifice. And secondly, he would disobey the Brahmanas. And thirdly, he would end up killing an Shaktiyavesha avatar of the Lord. Indra is a Shaktiyavesha avatar, empowered by the Lord to play the role of Indra. So although Prithu's duty was to punish those who introduce religious systems, but even while performing one's duty, one has to take into consideration of the time, place, and the people involved, and consult the authorities. So from one point of view, it is proper that Prithu Maharaj is about to attack Indra because he was introducing religious systems. But although it is his duty, but even in performing the duty, sometimes you have to take into consideration of the time and the place. The time and place is not proper because the sacrifice is going on. In such a sacrifice, you cannot kill Indra. You cannot kill any person. Only the sacrificial animal can be offered. And also the person being involved is Indra. And therefore, although it is Prithu Maharaj's duty to punish, but here the person involved is Indra. So therefore, it is a very tricky situation. There is a situation of a Dharma Sankata. So if we see the scriptures especially Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, they actually come up with a different instance of Dharma Sankata where there's a conflict between different dharmas. So during those Dharma Sankatas, in those instances, the different dharmic principles, the understanding of the dharmic principles they become more clear because of the characters involved in that particular situation. So Prithu is about to perform his duty of killing Indra, but this is not it's not supposed to be killed from another point of view, because the sacrifice is going on and Indra is an empowered incarnation. So then Prithu Maharaj, after being advised by the Brahmanas, so here we see the Brahmanas, they told Prithu Maharaj that we will chant the mantra. So the Brahmana said that although this particular Indra was an avatar of the Lord, the Vishnu Chakotipada is saying that although this particular Indra was an avatar of the Lord and the priests were not materialists, but still the priests spoke in this way to show the nature of those following the path of karma, the fruitive activities. So even the intelligent persons on this path become blind. So you see, when a person is performing fruitive activities, that will naturally lead to envy. Because any material desire will lead to envy. So Indra was attached to, Indra performed 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. They are all fruitive activities. Therefore, he was envious of Prithu Maharaj. And these Brahmanas were elevated souls, but because they were performing the fruitive activities, even they lost their good sense of intelligence, and they gave advice to Prithu that we will call Indra by chanting the mantras and we will kill him. So you see the power of the illusory potency. Indra became blinded, and even the Brahmanas, they became blinded and they gave the wrong advice to Prithu Maharaj. So Vishnu Chakotipada says that as Brahma becomes blind by lust and Shiva becomes blind by anger, similarly the nature of Indra, who is an avatar of Vishnu, is revealed to have envy and crookedness. And they say that Indra's powers are already reduced due to his attempt to impede the execution of your sacrifice. So when you take pleasure in others' advancement, simply by that attitude, a person can make advancement. And when you take displeasure in others' achievement and advancement, and by that you are actually poisoning yourself. You are poisoning yourself. So here, and when you try to especially commit an offense, blaspheme somebody, simply by that act, once one gets reduced or one's spiritual credits starts disappearing, or one loses one's taste for dharmic life, spiritual life. So then the priests, they started chanting that mantra in order to call Indra to the sacrifice. In the mood of great anger, they wanted to kill Indra. And when they were just ready to put the oblation in the fire, at that time Brahma appeared on the scene and he forbade them to put the oblation. He forbade them not to kill Indra by chanting the mantras. So you see, the priests, they stopped the angry Prithu Maharaj who was about to kill Indra, but they themselves became blinded by their anger and they were about to kill Indra. So you see the power of the illusory potency. Sometimes we advise somebody who is affected by a particular anartha, but many times we don't realize that we ourselves also get affected by the same anartha. They are advising Prithu Maharaj not to become angry, not to show anger towards Indra and kill Indra, but they themselves got affected by that mood of anger. So That is the power of the false ego. That's the power of the illusory potency. So now from the 30th verse, Brahmaji is advising Indra, Prithu Maharaj. So Brahma says that Na vadyo bhavatam Indro. You should not kill Indra because he is Bhagavat Tanu, he is the body of the Lord. And you wish to kill Indra by a sacrifice in which the Devatas are worshipped. Yasyeshtas Tanavasura. In which the Devatas who are parts of Vishnu, they are being worshipped. So Indra is the body of the Lord. And the Brahmana should not try to kill the form of the Lord. Suppose Brahma is telling that you are trying to worship Vishnu by the sacrifice, but you are trying to attack the hand of Vishnu. You are trying to cut off the hand of Vishnu because Indra represents the hand of Vishnu. Just imagine you are serving somebody, but you beat the leg of that person. How can it be true service? That's what Brahma says. It is like, so you want to kill Indra by sacrifice, but how can you kill the personification of sacrifice, Indra, by sacrifice? It is like throwing a small amount of milk in a fire. And moreover, the Devatas who are parts of his body are worshipped by us in the sacrifice. So how can he die? You did not consider this? And then he says that Tadidam Pashyata Mahad Dharma Vyatikaram Dvija Indre Nanutishtam Ragnya Karmaitad Vijigamsata. Just see the great disruption of dharma that Indra has caused by trying to obstruct your sacrifice. Dharma Vyatikaram. Dharma Vyatikaram means the path of the Pashandis. Just see how much of Pashandi Sampradaya Indra has created. And then Brahma says that Prutu Kirte Prutor Bhuya Tarhi Yekona Shatakratuhu. Just stop with your 99 sacrifices. You should perform only 99. And Ahamte Kratubi Svishtair Yadbhavan Moksha Dharma. And what is to be gained by performing so many sacrifices? Because you are Moksha Dharma with. You are on the path of liberation. You are on the path of Bhakti Yoga. So why do you want to achieve this 100 number of performing Karmakanda sacrifices? So a person who is practicing Bhakti Yoga, he may perform the Karmakanda activities, but that should be performed as a matter of duty. But his real heart should be involved in Bhakti Yoga, and the other activities of Karmakanda should be performed as a matter of duty. But here, Prutu, he became little intensely involved in performing this Karmakanda sacrifices. That is why he is actually about to attack Indra when Indra is obstructing his 100 sacrifices. So when you perform the Karmakanda activities, instead of doing it as a duty, but when you put your heart and soul into it, then in that case, one's bhakti becomes covered by karma. So Brahma is trying to remind him that you are moksha dharma with. So what is the use for you in performing these sacrifices? 99 or 100, it does not matter for you. You performed 99, let it be just 99. 99 is a great number. And even though you perform only 99, if you listen to my words and if you stop with this 99, you will get a great fame, or you will get an equal fame or even a greater fame than Indra, although you have performed only 99 sacrifices. How is it possible? By my blessings. By my blessings, this will happen. You will get the fame like Indra or even greater than Indra. So here we see, like suppose when there is a fight between a cow and a bull, you put any effort to to save the cow from the bull. So cow represents the Devatas, bull represents the Asuras. So Vishnu always takes the side of the Devatas in order to protect Dharma. He fights against the Asuras when there is a fight between a cow and the bull. And when there is a fight between two cows, that means when there is a fight between two dharmic people, it is not that you kill one cow in order to protect the other cow. No, we have to stop the fight and we have to protect both the cows. Both are required. Even though one cow may be superior compared to the other cow, but we essentially require both of them. So when there is a fight between two dharmic people, even if one person is having a greater character, we need both the people ultimately, both who are dharmic. So here Indra is a dharmic person, Prithu is a dharmic person. Both are actually, in one sense, devotees of Vishnu. Indra is maybe Karma Mishra Bhakta, but he is a devotee. He is having an important position in the responsibility of the Lord's universal management. So when there is a conflict between them, it's not that you should take the side of one, then that will be a wrong on the part of the mediator. So Brahma is telling that Brahma wants to stop the sacrifice because he's not even punishing Indra. He's not telling Indra is bad or something. Both are required. So therefore, Brahma is telling that you stop the sacrifice. So when there is a fight between two cows, so both the cows are to be protected. But in order to protect both the cows, at least one cow has to be little more a sadhu type of cow than the other cow. One cow has to take the back seat. Then only it is possible to stop the quarrel. So Brahma is like a cowherd, and the cowherd is seeing the two cows fighting, Indra and Prithu. And he is coming to stop the fight. And out of the two cows, he is not approaching Indra, but he is approaching Prithu Maharaj because he sees that Prithu Maharaj is a softer cow. If I tell something to him, he will listen to me. He had a greater trust in Prithu Maharaj. But if I go to Indra, he will not listen to me because he is a stubborn cow. Therefore, he is coming and telling Prithu Maharaj. And suppose when there is a fight between two bulls or two lions, the first category is when there is a fight between a cow and a lion. Second category is when there is a fight between two cows. And third is that when there is a fight between two lions. When there is a fight between two lions, that means both the lion represent the adharmic people. When there is a fight between two adharmic people, you don't take the side of anybody because both are adharmic. So this war between Russia and the US, you don't take the side of either of them because both are adharmic actually. So we see Prithu Maharaj gave up his vow. He had actually taken a vow. He had taken a sankalpa that I will not get up without completing 100 sacrifices. But for the sake of pleasing Brahma and Vishnu, he gave up his personal vow and he stopped with the 99 sacrifices. So Brahmaji is concerned with the welfare of the whole universe. And Brahmaji is a very responsible person. As soon as he saw that there is a chaos happening in the universe, immediately he came down. And this is a sign of a responsible person. They don't simply remain aloof. Brahmaji immediately came down. And that shows that his responsible nature. And also we see Brahma is telling him to stop the 100th sacrifice for the sake of the welfare of the world. At the same time, Brahma is saying that your fame will be greater than Indra, although you would have performed only 99 sacrifices. So in this way, Brahma also has concern for the individual excellence of Prithu by saying that, oh, your fame will be greater than that of Indra. So sometimes when we take a particular vow to achieve something, that vow should not be simply for the purpose of the satisfaction of our own ego. It should be for the purpose of the greater welfare of the society. And the vow should be taken with the permission of the superiors. So here we see Prithu Maharaj is a flexible devotee. Prithu Maharaj stopped his 100th sacrifice when it was advised by Brahmaji. So I'll just go through few verses. And then Brahmaji told that you should not show your anger to Indra because he is non-different from you. And Ubau apihi badramte, may there be good fortune to both of you, because Uttama Shloka Vigraho, because both of you are forms of the Supreme Lord. So Brahmaji is taking the neutral stance as a mediator. He is trying to stop the fight between the two cows. And then this verse is an important verse, 34th verse. Masmin Maharaja Kritasma Chintam Nishama Yasmat Vacha Adritatma. Do not be agitated and anxious because your sacrifices have not been properly executed because of the providential impediments. And take my words with great respect. And we should always remember that if something happens with a providential arrangement, we should not be very sorry. And the more we try to rectify such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest region of materialistic thought. This is a very important verse, this section. Like suppose when you are trying to achieve something, when you are repeatedly failing in that particular attempt, even after putting the best of all the efforts, even after choosing the best time, best place, even after putting the best effort, still if you are repeatedly failing, then you have to understand, you may have to consult somebody, and when you understand that according to the destiny you are not supposed to achieve success in that effort, then we better actually start putting effort in that direction. But if we try to go against that destiny, if we want to change that, if we try to put our Purushartha against the destiny, then we will complicate the situation like anything. We will enter into the darkest region of materialistic thought. When we try to put our Purushartha against our destiny, then we will complicate the situation. And that is also the case of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was not destined to become the king. His sons were not destined to become the king. But he was trying to put the Purushartha against the destiny. And in doing so, he lost all his 100 sons. So therefore, that many times we become caught up in the immediate cause. So here Prithu Maharaj was caught up in the immediate cause. That is, Indra is responsible for the for my failure of the 100th sacrifice, and he was about to attack Indra. But Brahmaji is telling that don't focus on the immediate cause of Indra, but rather understand the remote cause. The remote cause is that your own karma, according to your own karma, according to your own destiny, you are not supposed to perform the 100 sacrifices. And so stop putting your effort on the immediate cause and try to understand the remote cause. And instead of that, if you try to only address the immediate cause, if you try to change your destiny, then you will go deeper and deeper into the darkest region of materialistic thought. So we can see so many examples in the Bhagavatam, because I will not use those examples. So many examples in the Bhagavatam, we see that how the devotees usually focused on the immediate cause. Like sometimes when focused on the immediate cause, then there are other guides who came and actually instructed, now don't focus on the immediate cause, accept the remote cause. Suniti advised Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj was angry with his stepmother Suruchi. But Suniti told that don't try to become angry with the instrument of your karma. Try to understand that, try to focus on the remote cause, and you just try to worship the Lord. the Suniti gave such a positive instructions. And then Brahmaji is saying that stop the performance of the sacrifices because they have induced Indra to introduce many apasampradayas. And you should understand that even among the devatas, there are many unwanted desires. He says that among the devatas, Indra has become very stubborn and dharma has been destroyed by the heretics introduced by Indra. So he's telling that Indra cannot be stopped because he is a stubborn person. So Prithu Maharaj is a flexible devotee, Indra is a stubborn devotee, and therefore Brahmaji came and actually advised Prithu Maharaj instead of advising Indra. So everybody has a certain good side and the bad side. And sometimes when a person is a stubborn, and if you try to change that person more, even more the bad side of that person will come out. He will become even more bad. So it is important that depending on how we act, deal with the person, you can either bring out the good side or the bad side of the person. So Brahmaji knew that if I had approached Indra, then it would make Indra even more bad. He would stop doing many other wrong activities. Therefore, he didn't go Indra. And then Brahma told that, see the people carried away by the attractive heretics created by Indra, who stole the horse and destroyed your sacrifice. And then so Prabhupada quotes Yadyat Acharati Sreshta Tattatyeva Karodana. And he says, even at the time of Buddha also, Buddha came to stop the sacrifices. Here Brahmaji is telling Indra to stop, Prithu to stop the sacrifice because it was introducing many apasampradayas. Similarly, Buddha came and stopped the sacrifices by preaching an atheistic philosophy because people were misusing the Vedas for the wrong purpose. Again, Prabhupada talks about Sankirtan Yajna, and in the old ritualistic ceremonies were observed, but people would be encouraged to kill more and more animals. So people sometimes would kill the animals in the name of offering to Kali, but Kali does not eat animals. So who eats those animals? The Kali's associates and the ghosts. So people imagine that they are taking the Kali prasad, but actually they are getting the prasad of the ghosts. And then Brahma says that Brahma is trying to remind Prithu Maharaj, like you have appeared in this world in order to deliver dharma suitable at this time for the people which has become lost. Please remember you are the original purpose for which you have appeared in this world. Sometimes you are taking a car, suppose from Pune to Pandharpur, and suddenly on the road somebody hits a car and you end up quarreling with that person. And the quarrel goes on for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And in the process, you forget your original purpose that you are supposed to visit Pandharpur for a particular function in Vittal temple. Your original purpose was something, but sometimes on an intermediate, on the process, you get involved in a particular quarrel and you become so absorbed in that quarrel that you forget your original purpose. So similarly here, Brahma is trying to remind Prithu of the original purpose for which he appeared. So sometimes when a person is involved in a particular service which involves a lot of passion, but in the course of the passion, we think that we are doing perfectly actually. But somebody who is observing that, he may be seeing that, oh, this is causing this disruption in this particular place, or these people are getting disturbed, or this is like some problems it may be creating. So at that time, if you are not open for certain good suggestions of the observers, then like we may think that we are doing perfectly. So therefore, Brahmaji is trying to remind Prithu Maharaj that of the original purpose. Considering the auspiciousness of the world, complete the vow of the progenitors and destroy the illusion which generates imitation dharma created by Indra the path of the formidable heretics. So he's telling that think of the auspiciousness of the world. The progenitors created you by churning the body of Vena and fulfill their desire and stop this sacrifice. And then the last verses being instructed by Brahmaji, Prithu Maharaj made peace with Indra, showing him affection. He not only stopped the sacrifice, but he showed affection to Indra. Actually, Indra was elder to Prithu, but normally, usually an elder brother, he adjusts himself and he will adjust himself for the sake of the younger brother. But here Prithu, although he was younger, he adjusted himself for the sake of the elder person Indra. So in that way, he exhibited the quality of an elder brother. So therefore, Prithu became elder and Indra became younger. So because of the bhakti exhibited by Prithu and the obedience exhibited by Prithu, the hierarchy changed. Prithu became elder and Indra became younger. So Brahma saw that Prithu was superior because of his superior bhakti and instructed him to show affection to Indra. So, and then, okay, any other points, but I'll stop here. And then at this point, Prithu Maharaj took the Avabrita Snana. Avabrita Snana is the last Snana which is taken at the time of the completion of the sacrifice. And then he received the benedictions and the due blessings of the Devatas. And they were all pleased by his glorious activities. And Prithu Maharaj offered all the rewards to the Brahmanas present at the sacrifice. Because it is very important that when a person performs the sacrifice, the Brahmanas are properly rewarded. And they gave their heartfelt blessings to Prithu Maharaj. And the Brahmanas said that by your invitation, all classes of living entities have attended this assembly. And they have come from Pitraloka and the heavenly planets. And the great sages as well as the common men have attended this meeting. So all of them are satisfied by your dealings and your charity towards them. In this way, they blessed Prithu Maharaj. So I'll stop here. So if anybody has any questions or comments, they can take. Sorry for going beyond time. I'll share.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, sir.
Probably I had asked that question regarding like the post of Indra is fixed. So that is already mentioned in the 8th canto. All the 14 Manvantaras, who will be the Indra, that is already mentioned. It is already fixed. So that is not understandable how Indra is feeling insecurity. Because it's clear that his rule will be for this many, for one mantra he will be the Indra. It is not that it will be changed. And the next Indra is also fixed.
No, it is fixed for those who read the Bhagavatam. Maybe at that time that Indra was not aware who are going to be fixed in other Manvantras. If we are reading the Bhagavatam, therefore we are seeing that post is fixed. Maybe he was not aware. So it is not about, like, even if it is fixed, but the point is somebody is performing the 100th yajna. He wants to be, he's either envious that this person may occupy the post, or he just thinking that this person is going to equal my record, or he's going to exceed my record. Even if he is not going to occupy the post, but his person is going to equal my record. Could also be that.
And one more thing regarding this is like if the criteria for achieving the post of Indra is 100 Ashwamedh Yajna, so then why does Indra, like like we see even in the case of sages, those who like in Vishwamitra Muni and other sages, he's sending apsaras to disturb them. Again, we hear that because of insecurity. So what is the insecurity there he is having? Because they are not doing Ashwamedh Yajna anyway.
Maybe they are trying to come to Swargaloka by their tapasya, and they may try to exert their control in Swargaloka. Like suppose, like sometimes we see somebody is in a wants the decisions to be made in a particular according to one's thought process. Suppose a leader is there, one wants to make the decisions according to one's thought process. But so he wants to ensure that certain people who have a different thought process should not enter that committee only. So one may keep only those people who are like fans of him or who will agree to his thought process only in the committee. So, so therefore they may not like they may create certain situation by which others may not enter the committee. Similarly, Indra may be thinking that okay, oh, this person is performing tapasya, he may enter Swargaloka, he may give some opinion against my control. So like that.
And one more thing was like
again, as I mentioned, these instances are rare. It's not that Indra is doing all the time. Sometimes it is also, it's mentioned in the Vedas also. Sometimes Indra, as part of his duty, he is supposed to check certain people who are trying to say enter Swarga without the right attitude. Therefore, as a part of his duty, he is supposed to create obstacles. He is supposed to create he's supposed to check them so that wrong people don't enter Swargaloka. So it's also part of his duty, but sometimes while doing one's duty, a person can become more passionate about that particular duty. There can be also be certain personal agenda involved, although it may be part of the duty.
In case of this conflict between Indra and Prithu, we see that the mediator Brahma is telling this Prithu, although he was not at fault, to come down. So in real life situation, we see that and it is mentioned in Vishwanath Thakur's purports that his Indra is known as stubborn among the devatas, like that you mentioned also in the class. So he is very stubborn. So sometimes in real life cases, if someone is known to be a stubborn person and then always he is to be corrected, but the leader is not correcting that stubborn person, and instead of that, the other person who is actually not at fault is being told. So, but in our case, like it is like we are not so advanced and we are neophytes. So there is a limit to tolerance. Like how long if you are right and you're told that you calm down, you keep quiet, and so then that devotee who is actually not at fault, he's always being repeatedly told. So like it's difficult for him. So is it not that the leader should also tell to the stubborn party, because otherwise how will he change? How will he get reformed? If he's and sometimes it is also that then he takes advantage of his stubbornness, he takes advantage of the leader that he knows that he is not going to tell him anything.
Yeah, we have to, it's a more theoretical thing. We have to see the individual situation. So here also Brahma's expert management is principle comes in, especially in the managing the dharmic society, Krishna conscious society. You don't reject anybody. It is easy to corporate style management means hire and fire. But in managing the dharmic society of devotees, we don't reject anybody. Even if a particular person is having a stubborn nature, one will never listen to certain feedback. But still, at least I have seen people, they try to give some room even for that stubborn person to keep rendering some service so that they get purified in due course. They get purified and essentially they realize their mistake. That is why we will see in the next chapter, when Vishnu comes to meet Prithu Maharaj, Indra realizes the mistake and Indra is about to fall at the feet of Prithu Maharaj. And Prithu Maharaj lifts him up. So they brought out by this, by managing the situation expertly, they brought out the good side of Indra. It takes some time for the person, even the stubborn person. By giving him, you have to basically adjust the whole situation, adjust the situation in such a way that the stubborn devotee's bad side stops coming out. Because that bad side is creating disturbance to the larger society. Indra's bad side was coming out, that was creating disturbance in the form of the increase of apasampradayas. So Brahma wanted to stop that bad side and coming out, and therefore he told Indra that you stop performing the 99th sacrifice. That is the problem. And at the same time, Indra, after all, he is a devotee, but he was attached to a particular post. Okay, let him continue to render service in that post. If he is attached to that post, let him continue to render service in that post. And due course, he will also become purified. So, and sometimes if we are too much focused on, oh, I am right, that person is wrong, so why that person is not punished? Why I am only being told all the time? So when we are concerned more about right and wrong, I am right, that person is wrong. You may even prove that I am right, that other person is wrong. But in the process, we may lose the absolute truth. When we are too much focused on the relative right and the relative wrongs of this world, and we want to prove how we want to prove the relative right and disprove the relative wrong and prove the relative wrongs, and in the process we may lose that we may lose the absolute truth, the absolute right, we may lose the Krishna. So sometimes we have to, even though one may be right, other persons are wrong, for the sake of the larger society, for the sake of the unity of the larger society, sometimes we have to sacrifice our opinion. This point was also mentioned by Radhika Maharaj. So Prithu Maharaj, he performed 99 sacrifices. He stopped the 100th sacrifice. But Vishnu became satisfied with the act of Prithu Maharaj, who sacrificed, who stopped performing the 100th sacrifice. The act of not performing the 100th sacrifice, that pleased Vishnu more than all his 99 sacrifices. Because the first 99 sacrifices involved the sacrifice of the physical dravya into the fire. It was a sacrifice of the physical dravya. But the stopping to perform the 100th sacrifice, that involved the sacrifice of one's false ego. That means Prithu Maharaj, he actually gave up his own idea, he gave up his own opinion, he gave up his attachment to what is right and wrong, and he submitted to the opinion of Brahmaji. And this sacrifice of the false ego, this sacrifice, Vishnu was pleased by this sacrifice of the false ego more than the first 99 sacrifices, which involved the sacrifice of the things.
Thank you, Puja.
Any other points?
Hare Krishna, Radhika, Vallabh, Dandavat, Pranam. Able to hear me?
Hare Krishna.
Nityananda. I got Vishrambar Prabhu's mobile ID.
Oh.
Thank you.
Wasted
Such a
your
narration.
time, actually.
Such a narration. It's like a transcendental movie in the front. Prithu Maharaj and Indra. I like the example of going to Pune from Pandharpur, you are unnecessarily involving with the quarrel, which is actually destroying the main purpose. I have one query. That particular place where Indra was about to be killed by Prithu. That time the sages they stop him and they say that we will kill him. So you say they are also affected by the Rajoguna, anger. But is it that also have some kind of reason behind that? If the Yajaman, who is Indra, who is Prithu Maharaj, if he kills anybody other than the sacrificial fire, the Yajaman will lose the credit of the sacrifice. Or if Prithu Maharaj is going to kill Indra, that act will be outside of the sacrificial pit. So that also improper. So the priest volunteered themselves to do the job of Prithu inside the sacrificial arena. Time, place, circumstances. So time, place means the sacrificial pit and outside sacrificial pit. Adhikari refers to, rather than Prithu, we ourselves will do. So is it that Krodha with some intelligence, some reasoning behind it, or is any particular reason? Because it looks like they're doing a foolish act. Will there be any kind of reason like that?
There seems to be like some reasoning. They are giving some reasoning that you can't kill Indra in the sacrifice. It will contaminate the whole sacrifice. They are giving some reasoning. At the same time, they are also affected by Krodha. Because they are saying that we will invite Indra and we will kill Indra by directly making him fall in the sacrificial pit. So the sense sometimes one is affected, one is trying to suppress the anger of another person, but he also doesn't realize that he is also affected by the same anartha, maybe in another level or another degree. So once Radhanath Swami Maharaj was answering one question answer some years back. He said that when we are giving certain advice to somebody, when a counselor is giving some advice to counselees come with a certain problem, they reveal certain anarthas. The counselor should not think that I am free from the problem, I'm able to advise him. The counselor should know that actually I'm just in a fortunate position that I'm able to serve him at this point of time. But even I may also get influenced by the same anartha at some other point in my life, and I may also need the help of some other person. So we should have that attitude, like that Maharaj mentioned. So because here Vishnu Chakotipat says in that purport that even the priests were affected by the anger, by the mood of anger. So sometimes the people, so the Karma Kanda sacrifice, when we talk about the difference between Bhakti Yoga and Karma Kanda, in the process of Bhakti Yoga, even if a person starts the process of Bhakti Yoga with a wrong motivation, but because of being connected to the right process of Bhakti Yoga, and if a person follows the process of Bhakti Yoga intensely, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena, then eventually one becomes purified of even the wrong motivation. Like Diti, she started the Pumsavana sacrifice with the motivation to get a son who can kill Indra. But although she had a Tamoguna motivation, Tamoguna Bhakti, but because she performed intense Bhakti, in the process, she became purified and she gave up that wrong motivation. But here, when we talk about the Karma Kanda sacrifice, Prithu Maharaj did not start the Karma Kanda sacrifice with the wrong motivation. He started with the welfare of the world, the desire to please the Vishnu and Devatas. But in the Karma Kanda sacrifice, because the Karma Kanda process is inherently it is not transcendental, and although one may start with the right motivation, but if a person is not careful, because of being associated with that Karma Kanda sacrifice, which is in Prajoguna, one may get affected, and one's motivation can get affected, one can get carried away in due course. Like here, Prithu Maharaj he became absorbed in killing Indra, like he was about to kill Indra. Or even the priests who were about to kill Indra. So therefore, the right process, even with the wrong motivation, will eventually purify one's wrong motivation. But the wrong process means a process which is in Rajoguna, although it may be Vedic. Even if we start with the right motivation, and if we are not careful, the material atmosphere can change your right motivation, and one can get affected by the atmosphere of Rajoguna or Tamoguna. That can also be another way to see this.
Just one thought on the previously one devotee asked a question. Maybe you can correct me. Nice question the devotee asked. I forgot to see the name. Said about looks like Brahmaji is taking the side of a stubborn person, and injustice done to the the sadhu cow. Nice example of the cow.
You only
It
gave that
appears
example.
which have, which I just thought these things because it appears that Krishna Indra Vyakulam Loke Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Krishna appears to be taking the side of Indra in the case of Vritrasura, in the case of Prithu Maharaj, or also in other episode maybe that Maruts, So in such a kind of understanding, now there is a conflict between system and the personalities involved. So Krishna has created a system that, as somebody said, Indra is supposed to be Indra for the present Indra Yajna, who is supposed to be Indra for the whole time. So if even though it appears to be siding the stubborn person, then injustice to the sadhu person, but if in case if the right action is taking side of Prithu, then Indra, it could be right from the point of view of justice. But then people may lose faith on the system which is created by Krishna himself or Brahmaji himself. People may lose faith. So in that way, it could be a good balance that Brahmaji have taken, that the system is protected and the reward is done to the those who are sadhus. The sadhu cow is better than the Indra. So system also protected, they're also rewarded, and everybody is satisfied. Is it that kind of answer could satisfy the injustice? And just thought like
nice.
that maybe can.
Yeah, nice. I think nice point actually. System and the person.
And that
I think it's very good.
That could be the also when the system is not involved. Krishna indeed punished Indra when Rukmini Satyabhama with the Parijata flower and Govardhan Leela, because it's not involved in the system. It is something to do with his own devotees. So that time he didn't care for the system and humiliated Indra, Brahmaji also. So this thought came like that.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you for sharing this. Even in the, I think, Vamanadev episode, Vamanadev cheated Bali Maharaj and took away all the wealth and the kingdom and gave it to Indra. But so in that sense, he didn't want to change the system of the universe. Because Bali Maharaj forcibly occupied the throne of Indra without performing the 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. Then after occupying the throne of Indra, then he started performing the Ashwamedha Yajnas. It's like somebody who becomes an education minister and then he starts going to the school, or because I'm education minister, I should have some degree. Then he starts going to the college. So Indra, Bali Maharaj occupied the post of Indra and then he started performing the Ashwamedha Yajnas. So Vamanadev could see this is a wrong actually. And at the same time, he could understand that he has only created the system that those who worship the Brahmanas, by the Brahmanas' blessings, they are protected. Bali Maharaj is nicely worshipping the Brahmana Shukracharya. So I cannot do anything to actually to remove Bali Maharaj. But then he said that, but still I will make a trick by which his Guru Shukracharya will be displeased with Bali Maharaj, and then he will lose all his opulences.
Mm.
So he didn't. He did not change the system. He cheated Bali Maharaj and took away everything from him, and then gave it back to Indra. But on a personal level, because Bali Maharaj performed Atma Nivedanam, he said that I will become your doorkeeper. On a personal level, I will give you Sutala Loka. So in that sense, Krishna demonstrated, we can see that both this quality, how he is devoted to Bhakta, who performed the process of Bhakti, Atma Nivedanam, reciprocated personally. At the same time, as a upholder of Dharma, so he didn't want to change the system of Dharma as to who can be Indra or who can be in the position of Indra. So therefore, he removed Bali Maharaj, who did not follow the system of Dharma and who occupied that particular post. So this balance of the actually dealing with Bhakti and Dharma, how both are integrally balanced, that we see. Sometimes certain cases, like in Vrindavan Leela, Krishna danced with the gopis in order to show that I can actually break the rules of Dharma, and by that he showed a supreme position.
Thank you, Prabhu. Beautiful insight, so satisfying to the heart. If I speak any further, I will be get the curse of brahmachari time and sneaking inside and spoiling them.
Thank you
Valuable
for
time with
actually.
you. Correct.
Actually, you should be giving class, but because of your attraction to Bhagavatam, you are nicely doing it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nicely you have explained this series of chapters. So we seek your association more and more in future. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for all of your patient attention, for giving me this opportunity to render some service. And I beg forgiveness for any shortcomings, anything if I had spoken inappropriately, which is hurtful to some people. So I beg apology for that. And we will see in the future.
Grace Radhika Vallabh Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.